What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. I'm out here in the shop. It's getting late in the afternoon. I'm going to try to get these tires ballasted. I've been working on my old flatbed over there all day, or most of the day, doing some welding on it. Some spots that need to be fixed. And so I'm going to get these tires ballasted while I can. Try to get it before it gets dark, or I still got some good light. But even if it gets dark, I can get it done. Just you guys won't be able to see quite as well, maybe. But anyway, I'm going to use antifreeze. And I'm going to go with a 10% ratio, basically just for the corrosion, to keep the rims from rusting. And that's about 8 gallons per tire. I know a lot of people don't like to use antifreeze because if you puncture a tire, then it gets on the ground. My 18-wheeler holds that much antifreeze. If you bust a hose, it gets on the ground. It's kind of the same thing. Every 18-wheeler running up and down the road, they got to have antifreeze in them. You know, they got rubber hoses on them. You can do the math on that. Anyway, but I'm going to show you how I'm going to do this. And you can use windshield washer fluid if you want. If you have a smaller tractor, that may actually work better. And you actually get some freeze protection doing it that way that you would not get what I'm doing. From the charts that I show, that I've looked at, show that at a 10% ratio, it should be good to 26 degrees. And I'm in the south down here in Louisiana, and it doesn't get that cold. I mean, it gets below 20 sometimes, but it's only for, 5 or 6 hours. And even if they had straight water in them, they would not freeze in that amount of time. The next day, it's right back up above freezing. So I'm not too worried about that. I'm just mainly doing it for the corrosion protection. I don't want the rims to rust out. So anyway, let's get this show started here. All right, guys, first thing you want to do is jack the tractor up. I just put a floor jack under the back block of wood. That way you can turn the tire like this and get the valve stem at the upward position. Then you want to take the valve core out, obviously. This will be step 2. Let the air out of it. Waiting on the air to drain out of the tire, I'm going to use a pump-up sprayer here to put the antifreeze in there. That's a cheap way to do it. Most people already have a sprayer for their weed killer or whatever around the house. If not, you can grab one at Lowe's or Home Depot or somewhere for 30 or 40 bucks, maybe 20 for a cheaper one. This sprayer here holds 2 gallons and still have room to pump it up. Alright, then on the other end of the hose here, all I did was took the spray wand off right here and loosened it up, pull the hose off, and I'm just going to push this hose right up on the valve stem here. After the air gets out, pump the sprayer, and it'll push the antifreeze into the tire. These tires are 18.430, and from the charts that I've looked at, they showed a whole 89 gallons of water with the valve stem at the top. And so that's what we're going for, and that's the reason I chose the 8 gallons. That's 10% on the antifreeze, and as I say, just for rim protection. Alright guys, all the air has just about got through coming out. There's still just a little bit coming out. But we're not going to too much worry about it. I think it's just about all gone. We're going to shove the hose up on there like that and pump the sprayer. This sprayer, right on this last leg, I've been using it with degreaser, and the O-rings and stuff leak on it. That's the reason why I'm using it for this, because it's probably going to be its last use. Show over here so you can see it go in there. Like I say, this O-ring on the top is bad. Got to keep pumping it. Get that thing to seal or not. I don't know if you guys can hear that on camera, but you can hear the antifreeze going into the tire there, running down to the bottom. Alright guys, so it's taken about 4 or 5 minutes to pump 2 gallons in there using this method, so that's not that bad. Half a gallon a minute or something like that. You can hear the air coming back in there. We're displacing air when we put liquid in there. We're displacing the air, and it's coming back in there. Alright guys, I got all the antifreeze in there. Here comes the next part. You need one of these adapters right here that goes on your water hose, screws on your valve stem. I picked this up at, I think, Napa about 10 years ago. Pretty sure you can still buy them. Bought this when I had my last tractor. This is the part you have to be real careful about. My water pressure is about 80 pounds, and you will blow your tire up if you don't cut it off a couple times while it's filling up. And you can actually turn the valve stem, turn the tire down while the water's going in. You can hear the water going in there. So we're going to hook it up. Turn the water on here. And it has a little bleeder valve here you can mash too to bleed the air out. Trying to remember, I think you screw it on the valve stem first. Screw it on the valve stem first. So it's been about 10 years since I bought this and used it. Hard to believe it's been that long since I had my last tractor. I think I sold it about 6.5, 7 years ago. Something like that. Alright, I'm gonna go up here and turn the water on. I'm going to turn this down so it will give me an indication of the water level as it's filling up. I'll be able to hear it. And once we get up to about there, we'll turn the water off and bleed the air off, and then we'll repeat the process. It's starting to get there. You can hear the sound change and roll a little bit. You can hear it. And you can tell where the water level's at in there. I'll roll it up this way a little bit, and we'll cut the water off because I don't know. It's getting a good bit of air in it. I don't know how much pressure it is. I don't want it to get too much. It's been on there about, let's see, 13, 14 minutes, something like that. We'll run up here and shut it off, and then we'll bleed the air out of it and continue the process. And this thing does have a bleeder. You can hold on to it right there. Bleed the air out, or what I'm going to do is, I'm going to do it that way because I don't want to sit there and hold the bleeder. So I thought I would mention this. One of these sprayers here, these electric 12-volt sprayers, would probably work pretty good for this too, if you rig the hose up to it. And actually, the way this one is, you could get you a water hose, I believe, and screw on this T here, where the valve's at, and then run it to your adapter there that goes on your water hose and hook it right to the tire. I'm not using this because it don't work. It got left outside, and I don't know if the pump's bad or if the switch is bad or what. I hadn't really looked at it. I just know it doesn't work. So I didn't have time to mess with it, not gonna mess with it. And most people don't have one of these anyway. But if you do happen to have one, especially if you're going with the windshield washer fluid, I think this is a 25-gallon one. So you could pour 25 gallons in at one time and pump it straight in there with no issue whatsoever. So that's something to think about if you do have one, or if you need one in the future, you can go buy one. I want to say it was less than $200. I don't remember. I've had it for 4 or 5 years, and I used it, and it kind of got left outside whenever I was in the process of building the shop, and now it don't work anymore, and it's just kind of hanging out here. But anyway, so if you have a need for one, you can pick one up and use it for that, or if you already have one, you can use it for that. Alright guys, we made it to about right here. You hear it? I'm going to cut the water off again, bleed the air off, so that we don't get too much pressure built up in there. Alright, got the air out. This is the third time, or we've let the air out twice. So this is the third time filling up. And I'm going to try to catch it by turning the tire and figure out where the water's at and kind of follow it up. That way it doesn't get too much in it, because if you get too much in it, then when you cut the water off and go to bleed the air out, it's just going to dump water everywhere and make a big mess. And you don't want to do that, especially if you're using antifreeze. It's going to blow some of that back out, the mixture back out. And so we're going to try not to do that. You don't really want to do that with anything really, because even if you're using beet juice, because that stuff's expensive, and you don't want to just dump it all on the ground. And windshield washer fluid, you don't want to dump it on the ground either. It all costs money. But that's exactly what will happen if you decide to go in the house and get a sandwich. You're not paying attention. It should be somewhere in here. And actually, if you don't go quite all the way up, It makes it easier to check the air in your tires. You can definitely tell right there, you can hear the water sloshing right there, you can tell where it's at. Must be somewhere getting pretty close there. All right, that's it. See how big a mess we make here. Alright guys, that's about it. We're going to put the valve core back in there and we'll put some air in it. And they do make a special gauge for these for checking the air in tires that are have fluid in them. And I think Napa carries these too. I bought this one years and years ago. But it's spring loaded. It doesn't stay out like a normal air gauge does, so you have to hold it on there to look at your reading. But it's still recommended, you know, you check it at the top and you put air in it at the top. But you're still going to get some water or fluid out of it, even at the top. So. About 12 pounds. I think I'm gonna try it right there and see what it looks like after I get the other one done and let it down. All right guys, that's a wrap. I got both of them done. I got 12 pounds of air in them. Still looks like a little bit much really, but there's no implement on it. When I get an implement on it or pick something up, I'll be able to tell more about it. I don't really want to go much less than 12 because temperature changes. It'll get down to around 10. You don't really want to go a whole lot less than that because you risk popping the tire off the bead when you get down below 10 pounds. Put 32 in the front one. That's what it's recommended on the sidewall of it for maximum load carrying capacity, and probably be picking up a lot of heavy stuff, so I went ahead and put the max in that. and I want to leave the back ones pretty low so they get some traction. Those don't squat like a radial tire does. But anyway, that's it. If my calculations are right, it should be around 1,450 pounds or so added to it at 89 gallons per tire times 2, and then water is like 8.3 pounds a gallon or something like that. So 1,450, 1,480, it's going to vary a little bit. You know, it's probably not exactly 89 gallons in there. Maybe a little more, maybe a little less, but roughly 1,450 pounds is what I should have added to the tractor doing this. So anyway, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video. Hit like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. See you next time.